Welcome to another edition of the podcast known as Blending the Family. I'm your host, Tommy Maloney. I know you're so used to my buddy, John, my voice guy, doing something crazy and kooky, but I don't feel like it. I'm sorry. I'm trying to do what I can to be positive. I'm trying to do what I can to just think that either this is all a nightmare and we're all going to wake up at one point or another, or something's going to fucking change. And I'm hoping a change in a good way. And I'm trying to be optimistic. And for a lot of my friends who know me, I stay pretty positive. But it's really hard when first we have a virus that's killing people, and this virus doesn't care white, black, straight, gay, bisexual. It doesn't care. There's no control over it. And now we have what's been going on with an innocent man, George Floyd, killed for no reason. And who the fuck am I? I mean, I'm some dumbass white guy. But it hurts when you do watch, the video, and you can hear people screaming for that police officer to get his knee off of Mr. Floyd's throat, which essentially killed him. I remember many moons ago, the LA riots with Rodney King. And Rodney King just saying, can't we all just get along? What, when are we going to learn? And like I said, I'm no smart guy. I didn't do well in history class. But I think we're at a point in America where, let me rephrase that. I think we're at a point specifically in America where we are a divided country. And it starts at the leadership. And it starts with the way things have been running for these past 4 years. So here's my plea. Please vote in November. Let's get this asshole out of office. Please. Please. If you voted for him, okay, I'll give you a pass. You thought things were going to change. I thought things would change too. I'll be honest with you. I didn't vote for him, but I thought things would change. But boy, were we wrong. Way wrong. So we have the riots going on. And prior to that, we have this really, again, I don't know what to do. I think that's part of it. I just don't know what to do. In the Huffington Post today, they had a story about that poor gentleman, Hamoud Arbi. I'm sorry if I screw up his last name. Arbiri. Hamoud Arbiri. He was the one that was ran down by these fucking rednecks in Georgia while he was just jogging. 25 years old. They killed him. Assholes. So like I said, I mean, it was interesting. My wife Ann and I were talking to my mom over the weekend, and my wife said that, and this was a valid point, and then I heard it the other night on Seth Meyers' show when he was interviewing Michael Che from Saturday Night Live. And my wife and Michael Che both essentially said the same thing. Because of the coronavirus, because that we've all had to be stuck at home, Really can't go many places, even though now things are starting to open up. But there was a lot of frustration going on in the world because, again, people are being told to stay home, told you can't go anywhere. But because of that, it's a possibility that these riots in honor, I don't know what else to say. I would say in honor of Mr. Floyd, it's gotten out of control because quite possibly everybody's been locked at home. And this is a release. This is, society saying, I'm done. I've had enough. You've pushed me too far. I'm going to push back. So that's, I don't know what to say. It's just, it's bad enough with having to deal with, this coronavirus, and then what the fuck is just going on? I mean, even right now, I was reading even Legos. I love Legos. Grew up on Legos. They've stopped producing police kits. I saw somebody, a friend of mine, Pierre, posted on LinkedIn, and he said that, the world is getting serious about Mr. Floyd and what's going on when it hits LinkedIn. I agree. All right, I don't want to bum you out. I don't want to be bummed out. This episode of the podcast, it really was a lot of fun. It was supposed to actually happen 2 weeks ago. My buddy Scott Maureaux, and I think I've talked about there's two Scotts that listen to this podcast, and I think they're the only two that actually listen to the podcast. So we had Scott Clark, as a guest on the podcast, and Scott Maureaux is a dear, dear, dear friend of mine. Scott and I go way back. Our kids both play hockey together. Scott and I coach together. He is an awesome dad. He doesn't like to use the word bonus. He just likes saying dad, and I love him for that. And he's one of my heroes when it comes to parenthood. He's one of those people that gets it when it comes to being in a blended family. And he also really gets it. I think that was my buddy Ken. I think my buddy Ken just drove by the house. It looked like his car. Sorry, I digress. Squirrel. Anybody watch? I was watching Up last night. Love that movie. Anyway. But Scott's one of those youth coaches that understands how to coach kids, how to teach leadership skills, how to teach life skills. And I just want to have an open conversation with Scott. You're going to hear us talk about some certain people. One of them is Doug Smale. You can look up Doug Smale. He played for the Quebec Nordiques. He was a hell of a hockey player. And he is one of the association our kids play at. He's one of the coaches there. And Doug Smale is just an awesome guy. I've been trying to figure out a way to get him on the podcast for years, and I'm not going to give up. Doug has an interesting life, and there's some sadness in it. But he's also one of those guys that will give you the time of day. He loves coaching kids, just loves coaching kids. And he takes the time to talk to kids, and he's just a wonderful guy. So Scott talks about Doug Smale. We talk about at the rink, every rink has one of these, has a bar, a place you go to. when you're playing adult hockey, or you're there watching your kids play hockey and you need a little bit of an outlet. So Bender's is a place that a lot of the parents hang out at. Scott also talks about one of his assistant coaches and a kid I've known for a few years, Tate. And Tate is a young man who loves to be on the ice. He's also one of those kids. I shouldn't say kids. He's 20, I think. Might be 21 by now. I'm not sure. But Tate is one of those guys that is just a lovable guy. Always smiling. He is there for us as coaches, because Tate was one of my junior coaches. But Tate is also one of those kids that, or young man, I don't know what to call him. I'm going to call him Tate. But Tate is one of those people that he also understands how to coach our kids, because he came from, the world of hockey. But you'll hear Scott and I talk about Tate started late in life. And then another gentleman, Troy. I've known Troy for years. Not as intimate as Scott. I coached a tournament, and you'll hear that story on this podcast. And we combined a couple of teams that I was coaching for this tournament. And Troy has twin sons that play hockey, and those kids are awesome. So you'll hear a little story about that. Here's what else you're going to hear. If you are a regular listener to this podcast, and if this is your first time listening, thank you for doing that. This is not a normal way I do this podcast, I'll be honest with you, but next week we'll put all the bells and whistles back on. But before I forget, there will be a survey in the show notes. There is a friend of mine who is trying to build a training course, and she's a certified family psychiatrist. I can't remember, Lily. But Lily asked me if I can put this survey in the show notes. I forgot to last week or last episode. I'm going to put that in there for you. So please take the survey for Lily and take it from me. But anyway, I digress. You're going to hear possibly some barking in the background. So for those of you, again, who've been a regular listener, you know that back in March of 2019, our Chocolate Lab Duke passed away. And it's been a year, and my wife Ann has been wanting a dog again. And so a couple weeks ago, we got a new dog. His name is Otis. If you follow us on the social media, Blending Family, that's Blending Family on the Instagram, you will see several pictures of Otis. You'll see videos of Otis. He's a cute dog. Heinz 57. We don't know. He's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. He was rescued from Texas, and then came to Fort Collins, Colorado. And my wife was on this Humane Society website, and 15 minutes after Otis was posted, it was perfect timing. It was very serendipitous. We got to, that was a Wednesday, and then that Saturday we got to meet, spend time with Otis, and he's just a cute guy. I mean, he's a puppy, so he's still going through that teething stage. He's, yep, that was my buddy Ken. That was Ken. That was cool. I wonder if, I don't know what he was doing. I'll have to ask him. Anyway, yeah, Otis is teething. He wakes me up at 2 o'clock in the morning and doesn't stay asleep. No, 2 hours later, around 4 o'clock, we're back at it. So it's nice. It's fun. I'm very proud of myself. I am not a dog trainer by any means, but been able to work with him. And so far, he can sit and he can lay down. Still working on the other commands. I do have. Where did I put it? Where did I put it? Oh, here it is. I don't know if you watched the TV show Lucky Dog, but Brandon McMillan hosts this TV show called Lucky Dog, and I bought his book. I bought Lucky Dog Lessons. Train your dog in 7 days. Well, we're way past 7 days. We're just taking our time because I don't want to overload a puppy. I don't want to overload his little spongy brain. So that's that. So you will hear Otis barking in the background. My wife was like, "Why didn't you give him one of those Kongs and put some peanut butter in it?" And I'm like, I totally forgot. So he was whining. You can hear him. You can feel sorry for him too, but he was fine. Just he was in his kennel, and stupid me didn't give him something to do while he was in his kennel. So that's what you're hearing. He's all good. He's a good dog. He's getting there, but we love him. So Otis, check him out on Blending Family Instagram page, and there you go. I think that's all I have. I know I probably forgot a few things, but again, in the show notes, I'll put a picture of Otis. I'll put a couple of pictures there of Otis. By the way, you can always check out my buddy Scott on the IG, because he's a good guy. He is a really, really, really good guy. Find Scotty's. So it's Scott Maureaux. SCOTTMAUREAUX. He's a heck of a hockey coach. He's a great dad. He's a truly great friend. And so, yeah, I hope you enjoy this. And my other hope, as I think about it, is that you'll be jealous that other kids are being coached by Scott and other assistant coaches that are very similar to Scott. So there you go. That's all I got. I've talked almost 20 minutes. All I can say is, in conclusion, let's do what we can. Support each other. Be kind to each other. Quit being dumbasses. Support African American businesses. African American books. I mean, let's just fucking support each other. Quit fucking hating. I thought I was done. I'm just it upsets me. It upsets me as a parent. That we have dumbasses that are ruining what our kids are going to have to clean up. And I hope the next generation and the generation after that doesn't have to deal with this anymore. Okay? So, in the immortal words of Terry Crews, and I firmly believe this because I keep running into this day in, day out, just remember, your success is my success. Have a wonderful day. I don't care. Go hug somebody. Just make sure they don't have coronavirus and make sure you don't either. So, until next time, thanks for listening. Please leave a rating and review. Share this podcast. We'll get through this. We're going to get through this. And that's it. I'm done. I really mean it. I'm done. Thank you. Bye.
As ready as I'll ever be.
Well, that's good. All right. Well, you sound a lot better than last time.
Oh, good. So you can actually hear me?
Yeah, not the yeah.
That's good.
But here's where I want to start. Okay? And that is the announcement this week that the rink is opening up.
right?
How do you feel about that? How do the kids feel about that?
Uh, the kids are super, super excited. Um, they like like even Jacket was excited. He's just happy to get back on the ice, and so whenever we saw the announcement, we had told the kids, like, hey, you can sign up for slots. How many do you want? Knowing there was limitations, and Suri would have gone 8 days a week if she could have. And then, but like I said, Jack wanted to get back on there and, hopefully see some of his buddies as well. But so it's good. I'd like to see a full opening, but it's, baby steps and take what you can get.
Right, and it's a start. I mean, I think that's a good start for the kids because maybe this will help alleviate a lot of anxiety of, oh my gosh, will I ever be able to play my sport again? What's happening? So maybe this is an opportunity for our kids to see a little bit of normalcy for them.
Absolutely. And I think it's really, um, it teaches them lessons, right? Where, you know, about not just always jumping right into things, no matter if you think you should or shouldn't, but, you just, give it some thought, get back into it slowly, and it will be back. But you're right. I think the kids really need some outlets, and it's good.
Definitely, and I need to point this out to. I don't know if you can you hear the puppy?
I cannot.
Oh, okay. I just want to point out to the listeners, we have a new puppy, Otis. He is, as what somebody said, he's a Heinz 57. Probably going to do. We've been talking about, Ann and I've been talking about doing one of those tests, the DNA test to find out what he is. But one of the rumors is he's a Australian Shepherd. But I just want to say, because I can hear him, I have him in his little kennel. Um, it's
Oh,
it's
I do hear him
here,
there.
yeah. I thought you would hear
Yes.
that one. But yeah, so I just want to mention that if anybody hears a dog barking, it's our new puppy Otis. Anyway, so
And
that
it's not me.
and it's not you this time, yeah. But that's why I was really excited again for the kids because now, like you were just saying, they have an outlet. At least they have something to look forward to, something other than, oh my gosh, am I doing virtual school, am I going to school physically, what's going on? But having the rink open up for our kids, I think that's a good sign.
Yes. Yeah, a little bit of normalcy for sure. And routine.
Routine, oh
Yeah,
yes.
some kids really need that routine. Others, you can toss anything at them and they deal, which they're both strengths, but routine, even those ones that are, don't think they have a routine, their routine is being, kind of, hey, I'm going to go to the rink tonight, or I'm going to go here, I'm going to go there. And having those things taken away from them is really out of their routine, out of their normal day-to-day life.
Yeah, and I think it's such a great life lesson of having extracurricular activities to teach life skills such as time management, having a daily routine. Again, to bring our Otis, our puppy, into this, we now have to create new routines in our household. What time does he eat? What time are we gonna have him chill and go to bed and things like that. But then there's things that we can't control as far as 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, him squeaking saying I need to go potty.
Right. Yep, absolutely.
So yeah, that's why I love extracurricular activities for kids because it does teach so many different life skills. And now maybe if a rink is opening up, maybe other avenues will be opening up as well.
Right.
I don't know. because Connor last year was a baseball umpire, and I don't know if they're going to do baseball yet.
Right.
But luckily, he's actually, I didn't know this until I was shocked. Um, so for our listeners, we have something called the Mile High Flea Market uh, outside of Denver, and it's a huge, what it is, it's a flea market. And Connor's actually working there on the weekends. I was like, is that open? Well, apparently they are open. And then they're, doing a lot of social distancing. So he has that going on. And then his mom has him working for her company doing uh, manual labor, things that their on-site engineers just don't have time to do. So he's doing, cleaning, painting, things like that. So now I like that because now he's not sitting around not doing anything. He's getting into a routine. He's getting into um, learning other opportunities. Working at the flea market and learning how to paint and fix things, which is great because I don't do either.
Well, and those are, I've always tried to tell the kids, when you have jobs like that and you're in that high school age group, you learn real quick. Do you have the skill? Because it is a skill like anything else, but is it something you do or don't want to do? So then that if that's not something you want to do, college is your way. And, we need the trades just as bad, sometimes a little bit more at times than the college, but it helps identify versus kind of being lost without a direction.
True. That's a great point. And, with Jack and Connor, they're getting Jack's going to be a senior, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So both Jack and Connor have their next step, their next milestone as far as, this is it. This is their senior year of high school. What avenue, what routes do they want to take? And then it's like you said, if you're okay with working, as long as you find something, in my view, as long as you're finding something that you enjoy doing, that's a good way, as the Chinese proverb, find a job you love every day and you'll never have to work again.
Yep. Right. That's exactly it. I mean, it's, I know my kids have always talked about my job, and a lot of people don't realize that I only have a high school education, and with my job being an engineer, it has more to do with, I found that type of job where I've not had to really work a whole lot. I enjoy what I do, and that promotes success. Because I'm loving what I do.
Can we talk about that? Are you
Yeah.
okay to talk with where you work and the I don't know what to call it. You can tell me what to call it because it's so cool, and it's not just some little local product. You guys at Ball have created something that probably is going to go worldwide.
Yeah. So, Ball in general is a metal container business. So we make pop cans, beer cans, food cans. If you can put a product into it, it's made out of metal, we more than likely make it. Well, over the last year, we started producing an aluminum 100% recyclable cup, and it's along the lines of those red ones that are made out of plastic that everybody uses.
Right.
So
and play beer pong out of.
Yes, you can. And so right now we're making them for venues, or before all of the COVID, we were making them for venues, and currently we switched to retail. So, we're trying to get that pumped out and going, but I work in their research and development lab. So we're always tweaking with the can, or in this case, the cup, and trying to make it a little bit thinner, different coatings. And so it's never the same job. And and in this case, it's world changing in, trying to eliminate a good percentage of that plastic, and something that we can use every day.
Well, and here's the really cool thing, Scott, and that is your kids get to see this product again worldwide, life changing for so many, businesses out there, for the environment, climate change, and you're a part of that, and your kids get to see that you're a part of that, and they get to see, you know, the passion you have for trying to help, the world.
Right.
I mean, that's just a great dad moment, parenting moment. And hopefully because of that, going back to, our boys being, seniors in high school, maybe that's an opportunity for them to go, wow.
Yeah.
Even though Scott doesn't have a college degree, he's able to find his place, and he can help so many other people because of where he's at.
Right. Well, it's a real interesting spot, because we have vendors come in, vendors for the coating companies, the spray guns, you name it, in the can world. And these are guys that have been working in the can industry for 30 years. And we'll have them in, and after they've signed their NDA and stuff, it's funny. They come in and they're like, do you think I could have one of those cups? I mean, they're excited about this thing that they've been in the industry for 30 years. I mean, that's how big this is. And to be a part of it is really an honor. And I work with a great group of guys, and because of that teamwork, I think that's why it's been successful, because it has not been easy. And it's funny you mentioned, it being something that's world and life changing. I had a friend, when we were in the thick of getting this thing going, and it was like day after day was a fail. And you're getting pressure from above, you're not getting this done. And when it's your job and you're supposed to be good at it, and you can't seem to get over the hump. My buddy, he said those, almost word for word. He's like, Scott, you just got to keep sticking to it, because this is something that is going to change the world. And, it's almost like a battle cry, like, hey, the world needs this. And it definitely got us through the hump. And, and here we are. And we're putting in a plant in Georgia, and it's supposed to be up and running, in the next 6 months. And we're almost to the end of our tunnel as far as the lab goes.
I just lost my train of thought. Where was I going? I was going somewhere. I know. It was what you were saying about pushing forward. I mean, look at Thomas Edison. He learned his quote, and I'm going to screw up his quote. I learned 10,000 different ways of not making the incandescent light bulb. And so that's what you guys have done. I mean, you learn about failure, but each failure gets you closer to that win.
Right. Well, and that's why, like, when we've coached together, or whoever I'm coaching, and you have to remind parents of this a lot of times, is it's okay when we lose, because you learn, right? And
well, hopefully there is a learning opportunity.
Yes. And well, that comes from your leadership, right?
Exactly.
So, but I like anybody who's been in the locker room with me knows I'm a big Vince Lombardi guy, and his quotes, and and one of his quotes is, I've learned more from losing than I ever will winning, and it is so true. You think you think you're invincible whenever you're winning all the time, and someone will catch up to you, and they will find it. They will find that little thing that will get them victory. So, failure is part of life.
Well, one of my favorite Lombardi quotes is, "We didn't lose today, we just ran out of time."
Right. And that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Teamwork. I'm happy you flowed into sports, because not only is teamwork important in the work world, but teamwork and in our world, in the hockey world, where what's your philosophy on teamwork when you have a group of kids? Um, you primarily coach a younger, what, U12?
Generally, yes. That's generally.
So what's your secret to help these kids learn teamwork?
Um, I think the biggest thing is keeping the kids that are extremely talented at a younger age, teaching them that giving up the puck actually increases their chances of scoring goals. And you always see that, the look on their face of, they're kind of puzzled by it, because we tell them, hey, we have to possess the puck in order to score, and then we're telling them to pass the puck, to a teammate, hopefully.
Yeah. Good point.
They have to pass the puck in order to score. And, the whole idea is, the person who has the puck has everybody's attention. Everybody's attention. And if you learn to play the game and learn what your strength is, then you'll understand, hey, I'm a shooter, but I'm not a stick handler, so I have to pass the puck. Let me get it to the guys who can get it up the ice, move it forward, so I can be in a position to either catch a rebound or catch a second, third pass and bury it. And then the same thing goes for if you're not the shooter. You have a role, and that is the biggest key. I've told some kids, and they did not talk to me for 2 or 3 years because they were upset that if they didn't pass the puck, that they're gonna get benched. And it's hard because as an athlete, as a coach, I knew if they kept the puck on their stick, they're probably going to score a goal. And, the game is about winning, but they're not going to remember those moments of scoring 50 goals whenever you're 11, 12, 10, 9. But if you learn how to play the game right, and you have the skill, or you've learned to develop what you're good at, whenever you're in high school, whenever you're those junior, senior age groups, you will remember those moments, and those moments will last a lifetime for sure.
So where did those skills for you come from? Because the thing is, you're one of those rare sports coaches, youth coaches, that I don't think I've ever heard you yell. I don't think I've ever heard you, and I hope I'm saying this right, but I've never heard you swear, which at a youth level, I hope you're not. And when I say you, it's the general you, because we have heard it. We've had youth coaches go ballistic,
right,
in not just hockey, but football, baseball. I'm sure they do it in lacrosse. I don't know if they do it. I don't know if they do it in pickleball. I'm not sure.
you never know.
Never know. But so where did your education come from, as far as understanding that it's not about screaming and yelling, that it is getting down on one knee at their level? Where did that come from for you, Scott?
I guess I was always the kid that didn't respond well to getting yelled at. And so I would sit back and when I say didn't respond, I wasn't one that would go in my shell and, like, oh, this sucks, or I'm not going to play anymore. It was more like, almost saying, hey, this guy should see himself talking, right? Like, I I think it's just a matter of that. I also saw my dad was just a real quiet man, but man, he was firm and he knew how to talk to people. And when my dad talked, people listened and not yelled, and I think I learned a lot from that. And just, I think it's just kind of, I don't know. I really don't know, but it just, I think I pay attention, and I have yelled and I have had to get on some kids, but it was because I know the kid, not because it's something to do. I think that's the biggest key to coaching is the listening and the learning and paying attention to the kid. So I was an assistant coach for my older son, Jason's team, when he was a squirt. I think might have been second year squirt, could have been first year. I don't remember.
Remind me, squirt is you?
Sorry, 9 and 10-year-olds.
9 and 10. Okay, yeah.
So
I'm trying to remember. I'm like, oh my gosh. All I know is our boys are at an older age. So
right.
Yeah.
So when you're talking to 9 and 10-year-old kids, you could probably scare them into doing anything you want them to do on the ice, by yelling. But again, if you're trying to teach, your teachers don't stand up and yell at you all the time. They're teaching. They're trying to get you to understand it. Well, on this team, I had this line of kids and paid attention to their dads in this case, on how they talk to their kids and how they could get them to respond. And so I had one kid who was very articulate and like he could draw out a play. He could, and he was very like, you tell me to go here, you tell me why, I'm going to do it. And he understood the game, the hockey chess game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a kid that he would just, he was like a squirrel, man. He would just go do it because you said. And then I had one that if you tried to put your arm around him and say, hey, bud, I need you to do this or that, would not respond. But boy, if you got on him, he would do it. So I would always have them on the bench. So, in hockey, you have most of the time 3 lines of forwards, which are the guys who are the goal scorers, right? So, and you have 2 wingers and a center. And so what I would do at this particular line is I would have the kid that was the hockey chess kid, and I'd put him first. So that way, when I'm at the door, opening the door so they can get on and off the ice, he would be the first one. So while the line before was on the ice, I would be talking to him about the chess that's going on the ice. Right. So on that line change, he would go first. The second one, I would just almost go get the puck, puppy, right? That type of idea. and whatever I needed to tell him. And the third one, and I could be totally wrong for this, but I just said, go kick their ass type of thing, right?
Yeah.
That type of thing. But I knew the kids, and I knew that that's what they needed. And, and I try to always remember that, no matter if they're midgets, which are 15 to 18, or if they're 9 and 10-year-olds, you have to learn the individual, and that's how you coach, and that's how you teach.
Well, and this is where I kick myself as I should never, ever, ever, and I will say this to, I'm not breathing on this planet anymore. I never should have been a head coach because I was one of those idiot coaches, because the previous year when I was an assistant coach, and you know who I'm talking about, all he did was yell and scream.
Right.
Didn't really teach fundamentals, didn't teach basics, didn't teach the skills that really needed to develop these young kids to get them to the next phase. All I saw was scream, 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 go get the puck. And I go back to Joel Osteen saying, if you're the smartest person in your group, you need a bigger group. And I was very blessed to understand I need a bigger group. You know, having
Right.
people such as you and a few other of the dads who really understood hockey. I was better at, as far as looking at vision, I think I was better at coming from the goaltending aspect because, as you well know, as a goalie, you see the ice differently. It's like being a baseball catcher. You
Right.
see the plays differently. You see the field differently. I firmly believe if I had stayed in that role, I would have been better at acquiring the skills I needed to be a better coach. But I still feel that I was very lucky to surround myself with guys such as yourself to say, no, this is how we should do it, or being able to lean on, others. Because again, using youth sports as an example, you get those head coaches, it's their way or the highway. They never talk to assistants. They never get any kind of feedback, even from parents.
Right.
And it's just so frustrating because you see the skills these kids have, and you see that they can go in any direction they can. But unfortunately, a lot of times it's the coach, it's the coaching that just ruins everything for those kids.
Absolutely. I had I was an assistant coach last year, um, and it was kind of a co-head coach situation. But even in those situations, you have to have the person who's going to answer to the team, and you have to have your established leader. And so I was an assistant coach, and um, it kind of can't think of the word, but it basically it was a good lesson for us on teamwork. And there was four of us, and Tate, the assistant coaches, who we've been around, we've seen him forever. He's helped out with a lot of our teams, and I also played
Yeah.
at Highland, and now I play adult hockey with him. And another teammate of mine from my hockey team currently that helped us out as well. And it was a really positive group of coaches that really respected each other and understood that the head coach is just a title, and that's the way it should be. And actually the head coach has to deal with the brunt of most things. And well,
Like idiot
like
parents.
parents. Yes. So
Yeah, I'll
but
say it.
it's just in the respect we had for each other. I mean, we had, we call him Beardo. Guy can grow an amazing beard. Ryan, he grew up in Wisconsin, went to college in North Dakota, and played intramurals and stuff there. And smart hockey player, good hockey player. You have Tate, who didn't play growing up, younger age groups. Actually started at
He
Pee.
started late.
Yeah, at Pee.
Didn't he?
Yeah, at Pee Wee. He played roller hockey younger, but he was Pee Wee, which is 11 and 12, and
that's late.
that's super late.
Yeah.
And he's phenomenal. Like, he's got what's that guy on the Chicago Blackhawks that has really good hands? That guy, I can't remember his names. But anyway,
Patrick Kane.
oh yeah, him. I always forget.
Jonathan Tays.
So, but he has super smooth hands. And
You mean the professional hockey team other than the Colorado Avalanche minor team.
Oh, I didn't realize that they were a major team this year.
Hey, they made the playoffs at 24 team playoffs. So I was shocked as anybody was. I'm like, what? They made the playoffs? Oh, okay. Sorry, I digress.
They must have gotten paid. Anyway, so
they must have.
So anyway, but he learned, he's one of those kids that he just really was a sponge his whole, career, and just wanted to learn. And so now whenever I look or lean on Tate, he knows what I'm going to say it almost before I'm going to say it. Like, he knows I've coached him that long. And then Troy is just, he's the salt of the earth. And he doesn't let anything get to him. He's the cool cat. And we would all just kind of take each other's ideas and mold them. We had this one night in Benders. It was about halfway through the season, and we were doing well, but we could see that people were starting to figure us out. And then we had a couple kids that weren't quite meshing on a line. And so we were in Benders, and we were like,
for the listening audience, Benders is a bar.
Benders is a bar at the rink that pretty much everybody goes to, and you spend a lot of time there, whether you want to or not.
Yeah.
And so we were just sitting there like, oh, what can we do? And it was almost a game of tic-tac-toe. We took the lines and we wrote 3 names across. And then the second line wrote their names across, wrote them again. And they were just kind of all looking at them. And so then we said, all right, well, what if the 3 in the first row, because like I said, we put them in 3, stacked them. First in those first 3, the middle 3, and the last 3. How would that look? And all of a sudden we're like, that's not too bad. And so then we just said, if it doesn't work, we'll just go back the other way. And, we just all kind of gave our input, and we all decided on this, not really thinking things through. We just kind of threw it at the wall, right? And it stuck. And I'll tell you what, we found some gems out of that. And sometimes you just got to get lucky, right? So,
but it goes back to, and we can even take this into the business world where, you have one person who doesn't like to play in the sandbox with others and wants to hoard ideas and doesn't want to share ideas. But at this level, at a youth coaching level, it's amazing that coaches just don't get it. And I've got a Troy story for you. So because Troy has twins, and it was like we were in a tournament, and we had combined teams together because our team didn't have enough, they didn't have enough, so we just combined a team. And before one of the games, Troy came up to me and said, hey, can the twins play on the same line? And I looked at him, I said, hold on, they've never played on the same line? He goes, no, their coach doesn't allow it. I'm like, these are brothers. Come on. And they're
more than brothers as twins.
Exactly. And I'm going, and I look at Troy, their dad, and I go, Troy, whatever you need. Do you want them to both play goalie? I don't care. Because I want, as a coach, you have to be a realist. You have to understand that majority of these kids, about 99.9% of these kids, I'm sorry, parents, I'm going to tell you right now, your kid is not going to play the NFL. They're not going to play the NBA, NHL, MLS. They're not. Maybe professional pickleball.
Right.
That's about it. But that's the thing about youth sports, is that give those kids different opportunities. If they had never played quarterback, I'll tell you, I went to I was able to see Connor. Connor played like one little season of, I think it was flag football, and for one play or two plays, he was the quarterback. Well, at the time, he couldn't throw. I mean, he was young, but that was a proud daddy moment that a coach is giving these kids opportunity to play different positions,
Yep.
and it builds. If I ask Connor today about it, he might not remember, which is fine. But give
Right.
them those opportunities. Give them the sense to say, do you want to play a different position? Do you want to play somewhere else? And that it goes back to something you were talking about earlier, and that is, unfortunately, coaches think that their priority is to win every single game, and that is not true.
Right. And it's so far from the truth. Winning, I always like to tell the kids that the scoreboard is just something that, that has lights on it, basically, and it's just one more stat. That's just one more stat in this game of wins and losses. All right, so you lost the scoreboard. So what? Did you do crossovers left and right and skate backwards with backwards crossovers, something that you've never done before? Did you hold your position like you were supposed to? I mean, there's so many wins and losses in the game that have nothing, so many more that have nothing to do with scoring goals and winning games. And the focus it really needs to be on the little things. And it's not even the little things always, but the important things. I mean, with Surrey this last year, my daughter, she didn't have a very good shot, and we worked on her strength. We worked on her hand positions and her follow through and those little things. And she's a bantam this year, which this is, a proud dad moment. Is bantams, it's the first year that you can check in ice hockey, right? So, and she doesn't play girls hockey. She plays with the boys. And it's a hard age group for girls to play because usually they're smaller or they're shy or quiet. And Surrey is none of those things. She's just
No.
she's
brave.
She is.
She is one of the bravest kids. I don't care, boy or girl. She is one of the bravest kids I've ever seen.
Yes, and so it's just another day at the office for her to try out and make the team. And so that was one of her goals. Now, one of her strengths is also one of her weaknesses, and this is what she's at that age group where trying to teach her that they can be both. And what it was is it wasn't it was her positioning on the ice. She plays defense, and as you get older in hockey, you get less and less absolute positions. So if you're a defenseman, sometimes you go into your forward positions and you rely on your forwards to pay attention and then cover you defensively, coming back to that teamwork. And that's why it's so important.
Exactly.
That's why it's so important at those younger age groups for them to learn their position and their job at that position. Not necessarily that they have to always play that position, but their job at that position. Well, Surrey is very good at her job of being defensive. But then there's times in the game of hockey where the other team breaks down their positions, and as a defenseman, you are left wide open. Well, then in that case, you have to be an offensive defenseman. And she would never do it because she, in her brain, she's telling herself, I can't leave my post. And so it turned into a weakness where she could have had more opportunity to score goals or, put pressure on people to scramble, and so we really worked on that. And she was super, super close by the end of the year. She ended up taking some chances. She ended up almost really giving some really good checks on the boards. And, but the progression. So this next year, she'll be a second year bantam, which is when there's a little more expectation on doing those things versus a first year. First year is about learning. Second year is about doing, and she's grown up so much over the last 3-4 months in so many ways. And I think this next year is going to be a lot of fun to watch her play some hockey.
Well, you're in my head. I love it because you made a perfect segue, and that is, I love the fact you said my daughter,
Oh,
and I love that. And this is why uh, I want to. I've always wanted this podcast to spotlight ladies. There are some great dads out there, but Scott's taken. I just need to mention that too. And you have always been one of my mentors when it comes to blended families because I've seen how successful you've created with the help of Julie, your wife, but at the same time, it's wonderful to watch, your interactions with Jack and your interactions with Sari. You know, the time. How many years ago was it when what was it? She scored her first goal, and you got her that like Lego knockoff set that had the little microphone and the podium, and oh my gosh, it's just I don't know now if those two kids realize that they won the bonus parent lottery, and I'm sure they do deep down. They just might not have expressed it yet, but it's a fact. Where did you come up with ideas like that? And because I know you've done other ideas for kids, luckily you work at the ball factory where you can make really cool things. But as far as being a dad, a bonus dad in this context, where did that come from for you?
I think for me, it's just always been um, learn just be their parent. Like don't look at it as step parent or bonus parent. Like just be their parent. And I know it's not always that easy. Especially it's always hard when it comes to discipline, right? Like you kind of take that back seat, and that's important. But it's also, they also need to understand that you're firm as well. Like, look, I don't want to say your mom, but in my case, but like your mom and myself, we're on the same page. Now, there's a lot of writing on that page. And so I've learned to talk to them in a case of discipline or praise, right? And it really helps having Julie and to really, we really lean on each other for all those things. I'm a little more, I came from my mom was the principal of the Christian school I went to, and my dad was a deacon in the church. So it's pretty rigid. The rules, there was no gray in the rules. It was, it was a hard line. And so that, I tend to be that way, even though people see me as, super, super nice. But when it comes to that sort of thing, and, Julie's a little more, I don't want to say lenient, but just a little more open. And so we really work together to kind of come up with all right, we're going to be firm. We're going to have these consequences, but they're going to be fair. And so it has a lot to do with just working with each other. And in like I said, learning a lot from my parents and on how they went about raising us. And there were times that it wasn't fair, but we knew. But if there was something about my parents, is I knew the rules, and if I chose to break them, I also had the consequences that went with it. So, and that's not always easy, but that was the way it was. And so I try to teach Jack and Suri in this case to just understand that, look, I love them the same, and I will treat them the same. And, one of the things I think a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, but some bonus parents that they feel like the kids have to call them mom, have to call them dad. And I've never made them feel that way. I think that mom, dad, is something that you earn, in this case. And I do feel that those two, know that I will be there for them as if I was their natural father. And, and I think it does show. I think I've been pretty blessed. I never get any Father's Days with them. Right. And, but they make sure I have a Father's Day. And, it's, yeah. So it's pretty special. So I feel very blessed and for the relationship that we've developed together. So.
And it's amazing to watch as a third party. I mean, I've seen so many times when, you're on the ice with them and you can see that not only do they respect you as a parent, I would even tend to say as a friend, but as a coach as well. Yeah. And I think if you take all three of those aspects, those two are going to go very far. I don't think you and Julie will ever have any knocks at the door of, hello, officer, what brings you by? Because of what you and Julie have created. And it goes back to something else you were talking about is the two of you have to work together.
Right.
I mean, that's the bottom line, that, there has to be open conversation between you and your spouse. And, one thing with my spouse, Ann and I, one thing we discussed, before we got married is the discipline. Who's going to discipline who? And so, my daughter, Becca, and my son, Connor, are, similar in age by Becca's now going to be a freshman in college and Connor's going to be a senior in high school. So when it came down to any kind of discipline, I said, I'll handle, as we've nicknamed them, the Wonder Twins, because they really could look like brother and sister, other than Connor having brown eyes and Becca having blue eyes. But I said to my wife, I go, your other daughter, Betsy, you'll handle her discipline, because at times she scares the bejesus out of me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and yeah.
Yeah.
But it is, I mean, it's at the same time, like, that's what a great feeling, right? Whenever, the kids they're growing up and they're like, really, they get it. They, you can no longer have to just watch every move. And it's great, you were talking about Jack or Jack and Suri on the ice whenever I've coached. And I think where I kind of learned how to deal with my own kids on the ice was watching my mom. Like I said, being the principal of that Christian school, she disciplined me like I was a normal kid, normal student. And when I got home, she disciplined me like a mom. And I seem to be bringing up discipline, but I mean, there was so many positives too. But I learned how to separate the two, from her. And, so Jack has, and he'll probably, I mean, everybody knows he has ADHD. And so whenever he was the squirt, which, 9 and 10, he couldn't focus. Right.
Right. I was there.
Or I thought, something I had to learn was, and, when I first started coaching, he wanted to always be in the front, right. And listen, but then he couldn't sit still and he was too much of a distraction. So I knew that if I said something right there, I would lose them, right? And so, we just came up with have him be in the back of the group. So whenever you call the kids in to show them the next practice plan or what's going to go on the ice, they come to the, to the bench and, and they're listening. And so what I found was with Jack, if he was looking at you, he wasn't listening because he was staring off and thinking about something else. But if he could kind of skate around and just kind of move, he could catch every word and he got it down. And so that goes back to learning your kids, right? And whether you're coaching your own kids and just saying, all right, and the way I found that out was I would ask Jack, did you hear what I said? Yes, blah, blah, and he'd give it back to me word for word. And so then, that's how it kind of all developed. And that was a big learning curve for me as a coach, as a parent, is don't take things for what you think you see. The eye test isn't always right. You got
exactly.
It's deeper than that. So you have to communicate and ask questions, and which goes back to my job, right? It's not always what you see. It's those things that you've got to go step by step and learn every process in order to develop this cup, this can, this kid, this marriage. It's kind of all those things.
I like that.
So
I appreciate you. I've always thought what a great person you are, Scott. What a great dad you are. One of my favorite coaches. I'm just truly blessed that we have such a wonderful friendship.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is, again, it goes back to why I wanted to create a podcast. And this is icing on the cake for me, is being able to talk to, from time to time, I get to talk to my friends.
Right.
And if it's you, if it's Nate, the other Scott, it's just nice because, as I've always told, the guests that come on here, I said, we're not doing an interview show. We're having a conversation.
Right.
And so one of the things that with you is you are so creative when it comes to the end of the season or even during the season of having little awards for the kids.
But not all the kids, which is important, by the way.
Right. Tell us more.
So I don't believe in the ribbon, the ribbon for everybody. Now, with that said, I don't think you shun kids. I think that they should know how you feel about them. So I always give like a best defenseman award, a MVP, which is most valuable person, not player, because that's stuff you're born with. That's not what you develop, right? So most valuable person. And then I have FORECHECK, BACKCHECK, and PAYCHECK. And where that comes from at the rink is we were fortunate to have a 14-year NHLer on the staff, and his name is Doug Schmale. And that's one of his sayings. And a lot of my coaching I learned from Doug and Tyson, the director, on what they say and kind of how they say it. They have a lot of natural skill for what they do. But forecheck is whenever the puck is in the offensive end and the other team has the puck, and you have to have guys who are just willing to go in there and battle one-on-one. You got to skate hard. You got to put pressure. You got to know your position. And it's those guys that are always just forecheck. And the back check is whenever the other team has the puck and they're coming into their offensive zone and our defensive zone. And that is hard. Whenever you're 4 strides behind someone, and to not give up and just keep going until you catch that person or put enough pressure on them to where they don't get a good shot off so the goaltender can do their job. And then the paycheck is the guy who's a finisher, and the finisher is not necessarily the goal scorer. A lot of times it is, because you need those two. But I don't like to emphasize, the leading scorer and the most valuable player who can, skate. It all comes down to, you need all of these things. You need that defenseman that may never score a point all year long, but he gives up very few, or they give up very few. And then we do a most improved. And most improved sometimes could be your best player on the team. Sometimes it's, I don't want to say the worst, but the one that has the most challenges, started late in their career, hockey career. I call it a career because that truly is their career, their youth hockey, because that's where it ends, right?
Yeah.
It's not the next level. So you generally have 15 kids on your team, so that's about half. And then I will, I've made little, we have a laser engraver at work, and I will give something to all the kids as being part of the team, but not an award. I don't believe that they should get an award if they just kind of went through the motions, and they were part of the team. They did matter, and so they do get a little something, but not as an award. I always try to really make that clear that it is, Pee Wee Gray is Pee Wee Gray, and we love each other, and we needed those kids that got the awards, just like we needed the kids that didn't. But I just think that when it comes to school, we don't give everybody A's and we don't give everybody B's if they're bad students. We give them what you hate to say deserve, but it's the effort that they put in most of the time. It's really not
exactly.
It's not an F because they're not intelligent. It's that they didn't put in the work. So we don't give them A's. So I feel the same way about sports. We don't give them these things within the game if they don't put in the effort. So, that's where my awards and my little trinkets kind of come in. Is I just want to make sure the kids, give them something to come back for next year and try a little bit harder, or get the same award again, whatever the case may be.
Love it. Scotty, what has changed in your life these past 12 months?
I think I have to say my work. Again, going back to developing that cup, it really put a lot of stress and strain, and we really had to dig deep as a group and as individuals. And I think what I really found out the most was who I was as a can maker, and as in our innovation group. And you said it a couple times as far as being creative, and that's why I'm there. That's what the focus of why I'm there. But I didn't realize how much knowledge I have for the business and the development part of it. And it's been kind of eye-opening and kind of life-changing for me. Just thinking about, possibilities of my future. And it's definitely opened up some opportunities, and, and we'll leave it at that. But it's been good. And I mean, I've worked for Ball for 24 years, and it was pretty eye-opening to realize after all those years. And but it's a good place to be, and I'm really happy about that. And I think it's helped kind of recharge me for the end. As you get closer to retirement, it's really helped. So. Good.
Well, hopefully you don't get canned.
Hey.
hey. Oh, I'm here all the weekend. Yeah.
Yes.
Tip your bartenders, please.
Kicking a can down the street, as they say. So.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
No, that's fine. There's a lot of there's a lot of jokes that can come with my work. So
Yeah. You're going to the can. You don't bring a can because that'll be sick if you brought a can to the can.
right, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but awesome.
Well, cool, man.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tommy. This has been great. I really enjoyed it myself, and and for any of your listeners out there, just tune in to some of the older episodes too. It's I learned a lot about Tommy just by listening, and his guests have been great too. So,
Just having fun, Scott. Just having fun.
Right on, sir.